Hi everyone, and welcome to another edition of Venu's weekly cricket catch-up. I've got Fazan with me. How have you been this week, Fazan?
Yeah, I've been good. Lots of cricket on, and it's been good. It's been good. Obviously, not able to play any sports myself, but at least I've got something to look forward to with the cricket live on TV at the moment.
Yeah, I must say there's been some really good cricket matches that has occurred this week, and we're going to talk about them this week. And first of all, let's start off with the Test series because we always start with the Test series first. England, Sri Lanka, first Test match at Galle is coming to a conclusion. So England require another 36 more runs to beat Sri Lanka. And today was quite a really exhilarating day of Test cricket. Sri Lanka during the second innings got bowled up for 359. After Tiramani hit a really good 111 and Matthews hit a 71, and they have set England, I think, 72 odd to win the Test match. And at one point, it seemed that England there was a collapse after they lost 3 quick wickets at the start, but it seemed that Lawrence and Bairstow kind of steadied the ship a bit, and it's a matter of when tomorrow England will win the Test match. But I think Sri Lanka will be ruining a missed opportunity because if they scored another 50, 100 runs, especially in the first innings, if they didn't collapse the way they did in the first innings, then this could have been a really, really tough fourth innings total. But England are set to win. What do you think of the day's play, Fazan?
Yeah, just very briefly, I guess, touch upon it. Sri Lanka, really good fight back from them. Really good 100 by Tiramani and good 70 odd by Matthews. I think I agree with you. It was a good second innings total at Galle, but given the match situation, they needed a few more, I think, to make sure that it was really competitive. Of course, considering that the wickets dropped really quickly for England in that second innings on chasing, they do have a chance. However, look, it's going to be tough for them tomorrow, Sri Lanka, to get that win. But you never know. You never know. On day 5, on a turning track, they can pick up early wickets, then they'll put pressure on England, and it could be a case of there's an exciting finale to this Test match. But good fight back from Sri Lanka, and it bodes well for the second Test, where I'm sure we'll see an even more competitive match in pretty much every day, rather than maybe the first 2 days of this one was dominated by England, and then Sri Lanka showed good fight back in the second half. But that's why we love Test cricket, because it can be topsy-turvy like this one has been. So fingers crossed for a entertaining last day, which I'm sure Sri Lanka will be looking to do, and hopefully they execute it well and don't make it easy for England to win tomorrow.
And I think for Sri Lanka's perspective, they want to get as much momentum going towards the second Test match, which starts in a few days' time. So if you want to have a more detailed analysis of the Sri Lanka-England Test match, please do look on the channel. Fizan will post a video. We just did a day 4 video, so that will come out sometime later on today. So look at that. But England are set to win that Test match to go 1-0 up in the 2-match series. Another Test series, which I think it's been an excellent Test series so far, is the Australia-India series. So the 4th and final Test match at the Gabba or Brisbane. So basically, today, Washington Sundar and Shardul Thakur heroics ensured Australia didn't get a big first innings lead. They added 123 for the 7th wicket, Fizan, and that is huge given the context of the series, because it looks like the weather is going to play a big factor tomorrow during day 4, and only Australia only leading by 54 runs. So it's kind of even Stevens at the moment. And you must say it's against kind of an unrecognizable Indian side, because a lot of players, Fizan, are missing due to injury from that Indian side. And I must say, I've been impressed by India. When their backs have been against the wall, they have really stepped up and really showed some fight.
Yeah, I think obviously, as you said, and you alluded to there, they're not with their first 11 side. I think this has been a competitive series. The only thing I'd say is that similar to what happened with Sri Lanka and South Africa, it has been competitive, but we haven't seen the best players from both sides There have been quite a few injuries. It's been a little bit disappointing, but so that has, I think, dropped the level of cricket a little bit, but that's no fault of anyone's, really. That's just injuries. Nothing you can do about it. But in terms of the competitive nature of the test, they have been competitive, and it's been a good contest. And I think, you know, that those two knocks are very important, as you said. Weather-wise, it's interesting because I know it was supposed to rain, I think, the day before as well, and it didn't. Or it didn't rain much anyway, and hasn't really had much of an effect. So interesting to see whether rain does play a part. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully we see as much cricket as possible. I would slightly edge towards Australia at this point, but I think it is very much in the balance, to be fair. It's not, I don't think it's like a 70-30. I'm more thinking a 55, 45, 60, 40 split is what I'm looking at the moment. And I think,
how about the draw?
Yeah,
the
that's what.
possibility.
Yeah, I think the draw is quite a big possibility if there's rain, for sure. So let's see how it goes. I think Australia will need to be pretty imperious in that second innings to put pressure on India in the second half, in their second innings. India's top order was a bit disappointing, and the fact that they need to get rescued was a little bit worrying, I think, for the second innings, because they can't expect, you know, someone like Washington Sundar and Thakur to do that, you know, all the time. So.
But they did it though, so fair play to them.
No, they did. I'm more talking about the top order. I'm saying for the top order, it doesn't bode well, because the top order is obviously you need to do it, and the lower order won't be able to do it every time. Was my point, and they won't be expected to do it every time. So let's see how it goes. I think Australia will need to have a strong session tomorrow. They are unbeaten, both openers, I think, as it stands. So let's see. Warner needs to get some runs, and so does Marcus Harris. So if they put on a good stand, then it puts them in good stead. But if they fall like they have done, then it again puts pressure on Smith and Labuschagne to have to do it again, which again, they're very reliant on them in this series. So let's see. It is in the balance, as you said. So intriguing series for sure.
Definitely in the balance, and it can really shift towards Australia's favour if Warner plays, you know, one of his really quick-paced innings. So I think it does hinge on Warner tomorrow. It'd be really interesting to watch tomorrow. So do tune into that. So let's move on to another series that's about to take place. So the West Indies tour of Bangladesh. So Shakib Hassan, which I'm quite pleased to hear about, is back in the Bangladesh team squad as long as newcomers Sharifa Islam, Hassan Mahmood, as well as Mahdi Hassan for the free ODI series at Bangladesh against West Indies starting next week in Dhaka. So that is a big boost for Bangladesh. That, you know, their all-rounder, one of the best all-rounders going in ODIs, especially a spinning all-rounder, Shakib Hassan. That's a big boost for Fazan. Big boost for Bangladesh. What do you think, Fazan?
Yeah, I don't think I'd be a big boost for Bangladesh. To be honest, I'd probably be a terrible addition. But
I don't. You be. I think you get some good runs for Bangladesh.
No, not against the West Indies. I think they clean me up.
But a lot of the players are missing, Fazan. So you could.
I was going to say that I think
got your chance.
I think it's a bit disappointing to see that obviously some of the players for West Indies have made themselves unavailable because of COVID or whatever else. That's a little bit disappointing, and it kind of seems. I talked to a West Indies fan about them. They kind of said it's really a C or D team from West Indies.
Really,
being realistic.
Wow.
That's how they see it. And Bangladesh, I think, are favourites to win the ODI series, especially at home. The Test series, I think they've got a slightly stronger side, West Indies as well. I think it will be a decently competitive test. I just think it's disappointing, as I said, I think, from West Indies' point of view. But let's hope for a competitive series. And it'll be a good experience for those players who have come in, especially if they're younger players, which I know there are a few of them for West Indies. And hopefully they get the bug and they are very much inclined to wanting to really make a point and prove themselves on the international stage. So I think that's the one positive for the West Indies, and hopefully they can give a good account of themselves, and I'm sure we'll see a competitive series.
Yeah, I think you made a good point. I think Sir Clive Lloyd, one of the West Indian greats, one of the best captains for West Indies, wrote an open letter to the West Indies players saying, this is your chance to rise to the occasion and make a name for yourself and really put West Indies cricket back on that pedestal, back to a high level that they used to be, because they were such a great cricketing team. They were unbeatable for so long. And it's it's interesting that West Indies coach Phil Simmons is clear that he doesn't want the West Indies to go through the qualifier route for the 2023 World Cup. So I think a lot does hinge on them winning this series, this ODI series against Bangladesh. So they don't want to go for the qualifier route like they did for the last World Cup. So it'd be interesting to see how the series goes ahead. And I think, as you said, Fizan, it will be quite a competitive series. So do tune in for that. So another series that I'm really looking forward to, and Fizan will also look forward to, is the South Africa tour to Pakistan. So unfortunately, South Africa had to make an 11th hour change to the touring party as Othniel Bartman has been replaced by Marco Jansen, and due for medical reasons. And that's a shame because I was quite looking forward to see Bartman bowl. I kind of quite like his name as well, so that does add to that. And to add to that, I think you're going to have some opinions on this, Fizan. Mohammed Abbas and Shan Masood of Pakistan have been left out for the South Africa tests. Those are quite a big omissions, Fizan, considering Shan Masood had quite a good summer against England last year, and Mohammed Abbas had quite a good series against England, and he's had some test matches where he performed really well. But I think maybe their form of the last series in particular hasn't been too good. What's your opinion on that, Fizan?
I think Sean Masood's lucky that he hasn't been picked because he's going to avoid potentially getting a 4 straight duck. So he can't do a Kusal Mendes in that way. But no, I think, look, on a serious note, Sean Masood has not been in very good form. I think the 150 that he scored against England really papered over some of the cracks in terms of his batting, because really that's the only score he made on that tour, that 150. And Mohammed Abbas is a class bowler. He really is. Again, he hasn't been in great form, so I think he's just been dropped because of that. And who was the other exclusion you said?
Mohammed Abbas.
Mohammed Abbas I've touched upon.
Haris Sahel, Shan
Masood.
Yeah.
So Haris Sahel, for me, I would have liked to have seen him in there, actually. I was discussing this with someone else that I was talking about this in quite a lot of detail. I won't talk about it as much on here, but it's kind of some of my thoughts on the squad, etc. Haris Sahel, I would have liked to have seen him in there because he's I feel like it's the type of player that you see him. I don't know, as a neutral, Venu, what you think, but he seems like he should be suited to Test cricket because he's like a classical player, if that makes sense. But he just hasn't quite done it at Test level, which is a little bit disappointing, to be honest with you. But look, I mean, we'll see how it goes. There's 9 changes to the squad, which is a little bit disappointing to see from the perspective of, I don't know why we dropped and changed so much, but I do think the positive from it is that some people are going to get a chance. So Kashal Masood's been dropped. Most likely Imran Butt will play, who was in the previous squad. He'll open up with Arvid Ali. Imam Al-Haq is still injured. Azhar Ali, Babar Azam, Fawad Alam, all from the previous squad. But then you've got new players coming in like Kamran Ghulam, who's the highest run scorer domestically, Saman Ali Aga and Saud Shakil. These guys have all scored runs domestically. So previously, Pakistan sides would have been selected based on kind of, I don't want to say favoritism, but based on previous results internationally, and also just whether they played a few games for Pakistan. And a lot of domestic players were shunned, similar to Fawad Alam. He's only recently just come in after 11-year hiatus, and he's scored runs pretty much every year since, which is a bit weird, obviously. Zafar Gohar was being dropped from the last squad after getting spanked everywhere in New Zealand for that only one match, though. So disappointing that they dropped him, but I'm sure he'll work on some things. And Mohammad Awaz has come in. And then in terms of wicket keepers, there was talks about Rahel Nazir coming in, who captained Pakistan in the Under-19 World Cup, and he's a youngster. But Mohammad Rizwan, who scored 5 straight 50s and is going to look to break Andy Flower's record of 7 straight 50s. So at the moment, Safraz, Mohammad Rizwan and Quinton de Kock are all on 5 consecutive Test 50s in terms of a record. Mohammad Rizwan is still obviously on that. So he'll be looking to see whether he can get close to Andy Flower's record. So he's a shoe-in. Safraz is really there as an advisory role. It's only 2 tests, so he's not going to get a game. So that's why Rahel Nazir hasn't been picked. And spinner-wise, no Shadab Khan, which is a bit disappointing because I would think he offers a little bit with the bat. but they picked Naman Ali and Sajid Khan, who you might not be that familiar with, Venu, but they performed very well domestically again. So they pick people based on not the 1 day or T20 circuit domestically, but on the Qadi Azam Trophy, which is 4-day cricket, which is, I guess, is what they should be doing really. And then they've picked Hassan Ali, who you'll be familiar with, has been picked again. So he's come back in after injury, performed really well in the 4-day format for in Pakistan. He scored 100 actually, which is probably a bit surprising to you in the final of the Qadi Azam Trophy, which was drawn, by the way, which is crazy that it was drawn, which is a really competitive one. And Tabish Khan, who's quite a little bit older and really experienced and is the highest wicket taker in domestic cricket, but has never played Pakistan, he's been picked. And Haris Rolfe, which is a little bit disappointing because I don't think he's a test bowler, but we'll see how it goes. And of course, Shaheen Afridi. So no Naseem Shah. So he's been, he's got a niggle actually. That's why he hasn't been included. So a lot of changes to Pakistan. Let's see how it goes. Positives, there's some new players coming in who should be getting a chance because they perform well domestically. Negatives, that for me, there's a few people that I think maybe should have been given one more chance, like Haris Sahel, to see how he did one more tour. If he didn't do well, then drop him. And I think there's a few people in there that maybe shouldn't be given a chance. But overall, it's a typical Pakistani squad, but good to see some people getting a chance at least. So maybe it's a step in the right direction, hopefully.
Yep. So the first test match starts on 26th of January, so next week. So I'm looking forward to that. And it'd be nice to see Babar Azam playing again, as he missed the New Zealand series. It was a big loss for Pakistan. And South Africa, on the other hand, seem to have more of a settled squad. They've only made a couple of changes from the Sri Lanka series, in which they won 2-0. So it's going to be a very, very, really, very, very good test series. That's my prediction. So that's that series wrapped up. So something to look forward to next week. Let's move on to franchise cricket, in particular Big Bash League. So the Big Bash League is going along quite nicely. So it was the Melbourne Derby last night. So the Stars beat the Renegades and the 40 from Stoinis, and supported by Larkin, helped Stars move up to third spot. And however, the Renegades, the Melbourne Renegades, are basically doing really badly on the bottom. So if you look on the points table of the Big Bash League, you've got your Sydney Sixers at the top quite comfortably on 32 points. And then you've got I believe, the Sydney Thunder in second place on 23 points, and you've got the Melbourne Renegades right at the bottom on 10 points. So it hasn't been an excellent year for Finch's Melbourne Renegades team, but it's coming along nicely, the Big Bash League, and it's really nice to see some England players in there, Fizan, who are making a name for themselves. I think Livingston hit quite a good half century the other day, even though Perth Scorchers lost. So yeah, good. And also James Vince also hit 52 when Sydney Sixers beat Perth Scorchers in that match. So yeah, it's really good to see some England players in there. So yeah, I'm tuning in because there's been some good matches in the Big Bash League.
Yeah, it looks like it's going well, and good to see some England players getting experience in different conditions, as I've said before. And it's good. I mean, some of the Afghan players have played really well, like Mohammad Nabi, etc., has been playing quite well, and Majib. So that they're attracting some big players with the Big Bash. Obviously, they can't attract everyone because Australia-India series is kind of overlapped, which is a little bit disappointing, but it is what it is with COVID, etc. So, but it's going well, and for anyone who enjoys franchise or T20 cricket, they should check it out if they haven't already, for sure.
Yeah, so it's a really good franchise league. I think it's on its 10th one now, so they're doing well in the Big Bash League, and yeah, that's good. Okay, let's move on to another series that's going. It's the UAE against Ireland, and the first ODI, the UAE comfortably won by 6 wickets thanks to hundreds from Chundang Gapoy Rizwan and Mohammed Usman. And unfortunately, the second ODI had to be, which was meant to take place on Saturday, has been moved to Monday. So hope due to sudden outbreak COVID-19 cases in the UAE camp, but hopefully it's been given a go-ahead on Monday, which is good news, following approval from local health authorities. And this is a good series to watch, and I think it will help. Whoever wins this would help them for their quest to get into the 2023 World Cup. So an important series for these teams.
Yeah, really good to see the so-called minnow sides, getting a chance to make sure that they're playing regularly. I think they need to try and pack the cricket boards for these associate nations need to pack their schedules as much as possible to give the players as much experience against as many different players as they can, and also different conditions. So hopefully it will help. And yeah, I mean, as I said before, obviously we want to see cricket be more competitive across a number of nations. So the only way to do that is for cricket to be played, and in a variety of different countries playing each other. So this is a good sign that they're getting together and playing, and hopefully they can continue to do so, and then keep on improving, which I'm sure they have been, as we've seen with teams like Ireland. Obviously Bangladesh were once seen as a minnow side, they're not anymore. So yeah, so I'm sure other teams can follow suit.
Yeah, yeah, you made a good point there, Fizan. Hopefully other teams will follow suit. Now, let's move to quite an interesting story I read earlier this week. Vincent, who's the former New Zealand opener, is going to check with the ECB on leniency on his life ban. So he was given a life ban due to being found guilty on 11 counts of match fixing. So he is going to speak to the ECB to hoping to use his life as an example to deter other players from getting caught up in corruption. So be quite a good move by Vincent. Still doesn't take away what he did, but it's good that he's trying to deter other players and teach other players not to go down that route. So quite a bold move by Lou Vincent, and hopefully the ECB will listen and educate players on corruption.
Yeah, 100%. There needs to be education involved here, because some players will say, that no foul play was involved, and they'll plead ignorance. And that's not to say that they're not, that they weren't aware. I'm sure some are aware, some weren't, and they need to be told, and I think educated, to know where the line is, and to make sure that in future they don't cross it going forward. So yeah, that's a very good point to make, and hopefully the ECB takes this seriously. You don't want a case where multiple players are getting done for match fixing. I think we already have had too many cases in the game so far, not just in England but worldwide. So let's try and stamp it out, to be honest with you, because it's something that I think needs to be addressed, along with some other issues. But this is a big one, and we want to see competitive cricket played, and people and players playing at their optimum, giving their best, and especially at a high level. Look, some matches will have millions of eyes on it, and you don't want a case where it gets ruined because someone's been match fixing. So let's make sure that cricket is kept clean, I think is the best word of putting it.
Especially in the franchise games where there's a lot of money involved as well. So yeah, that's something that needs to be addressed, and hopefully the ECB do hear Louis Vincent out. So that's that. So let's move on to women's cricket now. So the England women are been set to tour New Zealand, and they've got 3 ODIs and 3 T20s in February and March, and they're due to fly out next Sunday. And the New Zealand government have said that if no one tests positive for COVID-19, the England players will be able to go about their business as normal, and they won't have to stay in biosecure bubbles. And I think that's quite good news for the England women team.
Yeah, 100%. Really good to see England's well, not just England women's cricket, but cricket for women in general and women's cricket growing exponentially. Really, we talked about, what was it, in our 2020 review? We all discussed that our 2020 pick of the year was the Australia versus West Indies T20 final, with a packed out stadium and crowd in Australia, and just really impressive to see women's cricket growing like it has been, and long may it continue.
Yes, and it's kind of a preparation for the 2022 Women's World Cup that is going to be set in New Zealand in March and April next year. So England are the current defending world champions in the ODI format, and the Heather Knight's England team will be looking to defend that, and hopefully will win this series. Will be a good build up to that. And also the T20 champions in women's cricket, Australia, have also locked in a New Zealand tour, and they've got 3 T20s and 3 ODIs late in March and early April. And it's quite interesting. Meg Lanning's Australian team in ODIs will be a chance for them to beat Ricky Ponting's side, Australian side, men's side, by stringing together 21 consecutive victories. So they're both. So Meg Lanning's Australian side is currently equal to Ricky Ponting's 2003, the imperious 2003. Do you remember when Ricky Ponting's Australian side won the 2003 World Cup, 2007 World Cup? They had that run with these great players like Brett Lee, Hayden, and so that would be a great chance.
Warren, McGrath, that was Ponting, Simmons, Lanka. That was ridiculous. That was a ridiculous side. Gillespie,
amazing side.
They just
one of the best sides, ODI sides.
There literally wasn't a weakness in any position that you can think of. That's just how strong they were. Unbelievable.
Yeah. And you had some quality players in the sidelines that would have been in the first team of other players. But, that is quite an achievement by Australian women to have a chance to beat that record. That is impressive, isn't it?
Yes, super impressive. And they are very imperious in women's cricket, that Australian women's side. And I think, with Meg Lanning and Elise Perry, to name 2 players, they, are incredible, really, aren't they? And there's a reason why Elise Perry won Women's Player of the Decade, because she's just is an absolute beast, to be honest with you, in women's cricket. And I'm sure England, obviously, are a very strong side. West Indies have been strong in the past. And I'm sure teams like India and Pakistan, I know that they're working on their teams as well, and other countries. So again, like in men's cricket, we want to see as many competitive teams as possible. So I know the same will happen in women's cricket as it continues to grow.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to as you say, the growth of women's cricket. It's really, really good to see. I'm really good to see, these talent able to showcase their talent to, a bigger audience, and the audience is growing, which is really, really good. So that is basically everything wrapped up in terms of all the series and matches. Now let's move on to the much anticipated. What do you want to say, Fazan?
Before you mention that, I was really happy with Pakistan getting a 3-year deal with Sky Sports. I thought it was quite big for Pakistani cricket. So they've secured, the Pakistan boards secured a 3-year deal with Sky Sports. So all series, including the upcoming Pakistan South Africa series, will be live on Sky Sports, and also the PSL starting next month will be live on Sky Sports, which will be great as well. I just can't wait. It's just, for me, someone who's going to be covering it, and I know you'll be watching as well, Venu. It's just more convenient, and the Sky Sports coverage, let's be honest, is really, really good. So it'll be good to see that rather than potentially seeing it on a YouTube stream or somewhere where the quality is not as good. So hopefully we get a good broadcast team put together for those for cricket, and for Pakistan it's a big coup in the UK.
And I'm sure, Fazan, you're looking forward to your favourite Ramesh Raja for the coverage.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to him, that's for sure, but I'm sure he will definitely be commentating on some matches. But
he will be, won't he?
I'm sure they'll have Wasim Akram and some others on there, so we'll see. COVID, I guess, COVID permitting. But either way, look, the Sky Sports have been doing it for a very long time, and I think even with Sri Lanka, England, the coverage has been great. And if I'm honest with you, out of all the channels showing cricket at the moment, I think they're probably the best, in my opinion. So, yeah, it's really good to see, and glad that they're getting a bit of recognition and from one of the biggest broadcasters in the game.
Yeah, it's good, but I don't think I don't think they'll have a panel like they have with the Sri Lanka England series. But it's still a step in the right direction and showing
Yeah.
it on one of the the biggest cricket broadcasters in Sky. So that's really good news for Pakistan cricket, and I'm really looking forward to that series that starts next week. Now let's move on to the much anticipated Venu's cricket awards. So let's start off with Star of the Week, Fizan. It has to be Joe Root. I can't think of anyone else. I think it's fourth or fifth score of over 200, and
Yeah, I
basically
think it's just fourth,
fourth.
maybe. Yeah.
And only for England, it's only Alistair Cook and Wally Hammond, Sir Alistair Cook, I must say, have more double centuries. So he's started off 2021 with a bang. After 2020 was a bit of a low moment for Joe in terms of his batting. But yeah, it has to be. I can't think of anyone else, to be honest, Fizan.
Yeah, when we touched on in detail in the video, so guys, go and check it out. Venu actually he's been leading the Sri Lanka versus England series, like kind of day reviews, and he'll be doing the test review as well, and has been doing a really good job. And we discussed how good Root's 228 was, and look, he usurped Kevin Peterson's 151 not out, which was seen as an incredible knock, and it was at the time. It was a very aggressive knock, and he says it's probably one of the best of his career, Kevin Peterson, and we know how many good knocks he's played. This knock to overtake it was a different mold to that Kevin Peterson knock. He's a different player. He's more of I wouldn't say accumulator. I think he's more of a stroke player like Kane Williamson, in that mold. And one thing that you alluded to in the reviews, and I did as well, is that he swept so well. And I do think I haven't seen anyone. To be honest, I haven't. From memory, I can't think of anyone who has swept better in an innings than Joe Root did in that 228. And it was just incredible the way he swept the ball, the paddle sweep as well that he utilised. Not to mention how he came back and forward and chose the right balls to come forward to, the right balls to go back to. And it was a masterclass in how to play spin, in turning, gripping conditions. Just an incredible knock. And I can't speak highly enough of it because it really was. And for anyone who wants to watch how to play spin, go in turning conditions, go and watch that knock and watch it and analyze it, because it really is for a young player or a player wanting to improve on how they play spin. It's a perfect example of how to do it.
Yeah, 100%, perfect example, and really bodes well for England going forward, especially with the India series coming up as well. That Root's looking good touch. Now, team of the week is on. Who shall we go for? I was going to say England,
Yeah.
but considering they've kind of let Sri Lanka fight back, you could say England, but certainly after the first 2 days of the Test match, I would have said England. But they kind of let Sri Lanka back into the game. They kind of, I would say, potentially India as a team of the week, considering, and day 3 of this Test match, they were backs against the wall, and really good partnership between Washington and Thakur as well. That was a fantastic partnership. Or we can have Sydney Sixers in the Big Bash League. The well ahead on 32 points and looking, they should really finish in top spot.
I think, I know we don't normally go for a franchise team, but I think given the fact that the Australia-India match is in the balance, and I personally don't think they're in command of it at the moment. I think it's a very valiant effort considering the injuries, etc., from them. And the fact that England, as you just said, I think they were in control, but Sri Lanka have now. They've wrestled back into a position where, look, it will take an incredible feat in day 5 for the Sri Lankan spinners to to get through that England lineup, even though they started very well. But yeah, so I think I'm happy to go with Sydney Sixers considering how imperious they have been, and they've at the top of the leaderboard. And it looks like, to be honest, they're going to be very hard to beat.
Yes, I know. I would. Sydney Sixers. You made a good case for them, Fizan. But India, how many times this series they've had they've, they could have easily collapsed today, and they've stood up, and that shows a good team mentality. And as you said, it's a B team. It's basically a B team. There's some unrecognizable.
But to be fair, Australia have not got a full strength side, and their tails wagged quite a lot as well. So for me personally, I wouldn't give Team of the Week to a team that isn't in control, and they're not. I don't think they're even in front. I think Australia are in front. So it's almost like if they're going to go on, for example, to draw or lose a test match, you wouldn't give them Team of the Week, would you? And that's what it's looking like. I don't think they're going to go on to win it. So that's my point. I think it's a valiant effort, but I wouldn't give Team of the Week to a team that doesn't look like they're going to win the test match.
But they don't need to win the test match to win the series.
But that doesn't
to retain the series.
But we're talking about Team of the Week, not Team of the Series.
So what's your point?
We're talking about the performances this week, not as the whole series. That's
my point is, as a collective, like the India bowlers, considering they're missing Bumrah and other bowlers, the new face bowlers, they restricted Australia to a modest target, and you had two new names that kind of brought the game back to neutrality.
Yeah, I agree, but then I would even be more inclined to go with England, considering they're probably going to win tomorrow. Considering that,
that's a good point.
I thought that they were going to be. I thought it was going to be a lot harder for them, if I'm being honest with you. And look, as I said, it's not impossible for Sri Lanka, but let's be honest, we're looking at like an 80% chance that England are going to wrap up tomorrow.
It's 99%.
It's 99%. Oh, I'm a bit more optimistic. I think sometimes in a day 5 pitch,
no, it's 99%.
99%.
No, probably a 99.9%. That's okay, 1 in 1,000 will Sri Lanka pull it off. But
you think? Maybe if they had Herath or Murali, maybe they'd do it.
Even with Murali in the side, they'll still won't get it. But
you think? I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows? But okay, let's go with Sydney Sixers then, considering the imperious form in the Big Bash League, and they look set to top the Big Bash League. And so well done to Sydney Sixers. So who do you think needs to do the homework this week? I would have said Kusal Mendes if he got out for a duck, but he actually got off the duck, which was good. Who needs to do the homework? I'm not really sure about this, Fazan.
You know what? It's difficult because if Dom Bess hadn't got 5 wickets in the first innings, I would have actually said him, because the way he bowled, I think he could have improved on. But it's really hard to say him because he's got 8 wickets in the Test match, so the stats don't reflect that he needs to do his homework, right? Even though he probably does, but it doesn't matter because stats don't show that. So I won't be harsh and say him. I think it's difficult actually. I think David Warner doesn't look particularly good at the moment, but I do feel like he is not 100% fit. So I feel like it's a bit harsh for me to go with him. I mean, Rohit Sharma played a bad shot in the first innings. He pulled to, I think it was fine leg, but again, he scored a few runs there. So again, I think it's a bit harsh to give it to him. So, I mean, off the top of my head, I think you can maybe go with, I was a bit underwhelmed by Hasaranga. I know that it's early in his international career, but I would have liked to have seen a lot more with him from him with the ball and maybe the bat. But I know he's primarily in there as a bowler and a leg spinner. And I know it's early days and it's a learning curve, but I feel like he's really got to grab the opportunity with both hands, and maybe he hasn't quite for me. But also England's openers, Zach Crawley and Dom Sibley, they've underperformed both innings. They need to do their homework on spinning conditions because they look very uncomfortable on these tracks. So, I mean, I'm happy for any of those, to be honest with you. But yeah, I would go for maybe Hasaranga or the England openers.
Yeah, I do agree. The England openers do look very, very uncomfortable. Like the ball that Sibley, he just left it. It's just, and Yeah, let's go for England openers, and they do need to do their homework considering if they want to win the next Test match and also the next series in India. So the England openers really need to perform and really set that platform for England, and you can't have Joe Root every time getting you out of trouble and the middle order. And yeah, let's do it. Let's say the England openers. How about that's that award done. How about the team that needs to do the homework? I would say if it was after the 2 days of it had to be Sri Lanka after the first 2 days after their abysmal batting performance, after getting out for 135, and some of the shots they were playing, they were gifting wickets away. It was seemed village, as we said in that video review, but I'm really impressed by how they fought back. So fair play to Sri Lanka. So you can't, I made the case for Sri Lanka, and I also made a case not to give it to them. So I'm not sure what to do here, Fazan.
Yeah, it's difficult, to be honest with you, because again, you can't really give it to India or Australia because that match is in the balance, and you could have given it to India if India hadn't come back with that partnership, because they dropped Labuschagne twice in the first in Australia's innings, but obviously they did very well to claw it back in their go, or their first innings with Takor and Washington Sundar. So they've kind of clawed back into contention.
I think I know who to give it to.
Well, what team?
Yeah, in Big Bash League, Melbourne Renegades.
They're bottom of the league, aren't they?
Bottom of the league on 10 points. Halbert Hurricanes are 19 points ahead of them. No, 19 points. No, so 9 points ahead of them. They played 9 matches. They've lost 2, and they've won 2, lost 9, and their net run rate is minus 2.173. And to give that, and that's pretty bad. That is bad.
They've got an okay team as well, right? They just got horrible form.
And they've got Finch as their captain, Aaron Finch, who's the Australian white ball captain.
Yeah, he's quality, man. He's so good. I just can't believe that they haven't been able to piece together any results. It's a shocker, isn't it?
Yeah, and also I think Aaron Finch has had a bad run of form during his Big Bash League, and he's actually, instead of opening, he's actually moved down the order. Just to see how it goes, but I think he will open the batting for the next match. So yeah, things are not looking good for Melbourne Renegades.
It's not looking good when someone who opens for Australia in T20s and ODIs and had a great 2020 starts moving himself up and down the order. Then you know that your team's playing poorly, isn't it?
And he's your captain as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, not good for them. But yeah, so we've gone the team of the week, Sydney Sixers and Melbourne Renegades, as the team that needs to do their homework. I'm not sure if they could get the top 4 from here. So it's kind of looks like the season's kind of dead and buried. But we always like a fight back, don't we? Like the Sri Lankan showed for the last few days in the Test match. So any other awards? What other awards do we do for Son? What are we looking forward to?
Yeah,
moment of the week.
We can do moment of the week. Yeah, sure. What's your moment of the week?
Moment of the week when I think one of the England wicket fell in today's Test match, and I think Dick Weller went to high five Hasaranga.
That could be the
Dick Weller
funniest
completely
moment.
missed him and just smashed him in the face. And I was surprised, medic didn't come over to give Hasaranga a concussion test. It looked dangerous.
Should we have that as our funniest moment of the week and have a separate moment of the week? I feel like we should have a funniest moment of the week each week. What do you think?
All right, okay, that's the funniest.
Yeah?
That has to be
that has to be the funniest. That's hilarious. Someone obviously shared that. I think it was someone shared it. Was it? It was yourself, wasn't it? Yeah.
I shared it. Yeah.
Yeah, yourself. Yeah, you shared it in our cricket group. That's hilarious. So funny. Especially as he's a newbie as well. Just absolutely high five to the face.
Maybe you should link it to the.
I might put it
so the viewers can have a look. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it was hilarious. Yeah.
Just
moment of the week.
Funniest.
I don't know. Moment of the week. I mean, Roots 228 has to be up there, I guess.
Or maybe Jack Leach getting his 5-4.
Yeah,
considering
I thought that was
he's
impressive.
been really ill recently, and
Tiramane's 100 as well. Considering it was, I think he's waited something like how many years?
Long time.
It's a number of years, 7 years or something.
Yes, and guess which player is number 1 between the longest time between 2 Test hundreds?
Fawad Alam, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. And Tiramane is second, I believe. So that's the moment.
Yeah. Also,
Oh,
I wonder what Sri Lanka are going to do when Karunaratne comes back in, because obviously Pereira has been scoring runs, and now Tiramani scored 100. So I wonder whether they'll try and maybe they'll drop Kusal Mendes and drop one of them to 3. I don't know. Interesting.
but I don't think they'll drop Mendes. I don't think they will.
Really? But then,
No.
do you think they'll try and fit in Tiramani in there somewhere? They must have to,
Potentially,
right?
but issue with Tiramani, he's very inconsistent, and he's played 70 odd tests, and his average is like under 25.
Okay.
So yeah, so he has one good innings and then kind of doesn't string any performances together. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But
interesting.
as a moment of the week, I'm not too sure on this one. Joe Root's 200 potentially. Jack Leach 5-4. What else? You could say the Washington Sundar and Thakker's partnership.
Yeah, and I think you should have. And I think you should also, in contention, should be Tiramani's 100. I think it should be, because I don't think he's really expected to do much. So I think that was a big moment as well.
And it kind of set up innings for Sri Lanka as well. That's a big moment.
Gave them a chance, I think.
Sorry?
It definitely gave them a chance, hasn't it?
So who are you leaning towards then?
I think it's hard to look. I think it's hard to look away from Joe Root's 228 because it's the highest ever score from an Englishman in Sri Lanka. Also, the significance of it, because it's his first innings of 2021. There's a lot of pressure on him considering he didn't score 100 last year, and then he's opened up with the year with a bang. Even with a double 100 in testing conditions. So,
and
I think it's hard to look away from him.
Put England in the driving seat. If Joe Root made 100, then England's score would be 100 less, and they'd be chasing 150 plus. So
if they win this, it'll be because of him. If they win this, it'll be because of him.
Yeah, it's Root. So Joe Root as getting the highest score by an Englishman in Sri Lanka. I think it's the highest score in Asia. I'm not too sure. I think it's the highest score in Sri Lanka.
It's the highest score in Sri Lanka, yeah. I don't know if it's in Asia.
Has the highest score in Asia, I believe.
Yeah, it must be against India or something, right?
Yeah, I think so. So so well done, Joe Root, for getting the moment of the week and also star of the week. Funniest moment of the week, it was Dick Weller face slapping his teammate at Saranga. Do watch that. I think Fizan will put a link.
Yeah.
What are we looking forward to for next week? So the South Africa Pakistan test doesn't start next week. It starts the week after that.
Yeah.
The second test match in Sri Lanka, England at Galle, starts next Friday.
Yeah.
You
know what I'm looking forward to most, actually, what you just touched upon, the second test match, England Sri Lanka, just because I do feel like the last 2 days and hopefully the day 5 as well will set up a much better test match second time round now. I do feel like Sri Lanka are learning from their mistakes. And if Karunaratne comes back in as well, I think that helps. Even if Dhananjaya De Silva comes back, I don't know if he's in contention. That will be a big plus for them. So hopefully they'll be even stronger and it'll be a really, really competitive test match. And also, guys, please do check us out, because on what it will be, day 2 is Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in my diary.
So day 2, I'll put it in the community tab, the community section of my channel at some point when it's confirmed. But me and Venu will be doing some type of live. I don't know the date, the timings exactly yet. We need to both confirm with each other, but it'll probably be maximum a session, kind of low, minimum an hour. So kind of anywhere between those 2 times. And check it out, because I'm really looking forward to it. And I know Venu, it's going to be really, really good to have the first live on the channel, and I'm really happy to do it with Venu as well. So it'll be a great fun. I'm really looking forward to that as well, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. Looking forward to that. Something to do on a Saturday, especially during lockdown. So looking forward to that. So that's all the awards. In particular, well done to Joe Root for this week. So that's when Venu's weekly Cricket Catch Up wrapped up. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Fizan, for joining me once again.
Thank you, as always, for hosting and putting together a great show. Really enjoyed it, and really looking forward to the coming week of cricket and doing this again with you next week.
Yeah, I must say, having the cricket on during lockdown has been really nice, and I'm really fortunate to be able to watch and follow the cricket.
Yeah. Oh, actually, sorry. Finally, as well, thank you to everyone who's commented on the videos and also liked them. I've got some people who obviously we're friends with who have commented and said it's really good. If not on the videos,
but give us some constructive criticism as well.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
As well,
but there's also people that we don't know of personally who have just followed the channel and are fans. Thank you so much. Like, it's really greatly appreciated, and I've sent it to Venu the comments or let him know. And it's really good to see that some people, well, that a lot of people are enjoying the content, and especially this show that Venu puts together. He puts a lot of hard work into it, so it's good to see some recognition for it because he does put it together, and it's look, he does a lot of research and knows his stuff and puts it together. So well done, Venu.
No problem. So let's say that's a close of play for this week, and we'll be back next week for the return of play. So thank you for watching, and see you next week.